first against second in both Premier and First Division, and caretaker against caretaker in Cork after what's been an interesting few days in the League of Ireland. Joined by Daniel McDonnell. And Dan, let's start with Shamrock Rovers against Bohs. Rovers looking to close the gap to a point, and given the form they've been in, they'd be strong favourites to do it.
They will be, yeah. I mean, they were very good on Monday in Derry. We covered it probably afterwards on the night. Very sort of comprehensive win in a game that you expected it to be a real sort of heavyweight clash. And I mean, clearly, if it turns out to be the same in this game, you play sort of maybe your two main rivals potentially in the space of a week and beat them both comfortably. It doesn't bode well for the rest of the season. So, no offense to anyone from Rovers, but you sort of hope Bohs can be really competitive in this game and make it a real contest. But they're going to have to lift their performance levels, I think, above anything they've done so far this season. I mean, I suppose the only thing I would say is, I mean, in Tallaght last Friday, Sligo Rovers pushed Rovers all the way, and showed you can go there and compete, and maybe there's a template there for Bohs.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like Arsenal, Man City vibe about it, where there's almost an inevitability that Rovers are just going to catch whoever's in front of them and just push on, particularly with the form. I mean, in City's case, it's Haaland that is sparking them, but Jack Byrne with Rovers is the one that's really in form and seems to be driving on. Bohs will need more of an answer to him than Derry had last week.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd be surprised if they gave him the same amount of space. It was just sort of criminal, really, from Derry's perspective. And yeah, it's true. Like Rovers probably rotated a lot of their other options. They could afford to leave Graham Burke out on Monday, then tell for that game. I wouldn't be surprised to see Burke back in, for this. But yeah, they just have the ability to mix things up. But yeah, I mean, you just can't allow Jack Byrne that freedom, and we'll see what Bohs do. I mean, they've got Keith Buckley back this year. I would say he's still struggling to get to he hasn't got to his previous levels. But in the past he's been brilliant in these derbies. And you need to offer close attention, and they've other midfield options as well. We'll see what combination they go with, but definitely Jordan Flores in the past actually had reasonable joy against Jack Byrne at times with Dundalk. There's ways to do it. You can have a number 10 maybe sitting back and trying to stop Jack Byrne's influence, or there's various ways you do it. But obviously Jack Byrne will wander around. If he's having issues in one spot, he'll find joy in another. So but yeah, there's no doubt when he ticks, Rovers tends to tick.
They're certainly ticking at the moment. Down to Cork, we Pats, obviously Colin Healy and Tim Clancy both gone this week. Was there one that surprised you more than the other, or was it these murmurings that we kind of heard about both of them for the last couple of weeks and months really just seemed to come true?
I still think the Clancy one surprised me more, although just more so that it happened so quickly. I felt I could understand the reason why people would think it would happen eventually, but maybe just the speed of it. The Healy one is a little bit more surprising. Although, I mean, the thing about Colin Healy was, and people who know him would say this, that probably at times, they were unsure if he really, really ever wanted to be a first team manager. He was almost doing it out of a sense of duty at times. He rather than this being his life's goal to be a first team manager at a club. I think he was very successful in the academy there, and probably has a huge amount still to offer football, but maybe that just wasn't for him. And well, no, he brought them back to the Premier Division, but just like listening to him after the game on Monday, he sounded like someone who wasn't enjoying it, and that's not a great combination. So it's weird. It's not as if the League of Ireland has been reasonably stable from the managerial front at times in recent years. It's not as trigger happy or as volatile. So it's quite unusual to have two clubs suddenly change managers in a week. It's a strange turn of events.
Yeah, I think it's odd the fact that they're both playing each other as well. I mean, I guess Cork, if you like, it would theoretically be a good time to play Pats, if Cork get a home crowd behind them. But again, there seems to be there's a bit of discontent down there by all accounts.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, well, I mean, this is the thing as well. Like, someone's going to get the bounce. You could argue, the other one hasn't. All the old cliches. The Cork vibe just seems. I mean, there's new ownership down there. Just seems to be a few things around the place that disharmony. See one of the local podcasts who've had the story first about breaking the Heady news now seem to be on the in the Bold Boys corner.
Yeah.
And I just feel sometimes you go into a club like that, you sort of need to know how to read the room. And it feels like there's been a couple of mistakes made in that regard. Cork is often at its best when there's a little bit of a siege mentality, them against the world, but it's like it's them against each other
Yeah.
at the moment. And I don't know the ins and outs, the rights and wrongs of that, but from the outside, it appears like some unnecessary battles are being fought there.
Yeah, it's not a battle they're going to win either. The other two games, Drogheda beat Derry, Shells UCD. Derry obviously so poor last week. We were very unhappy with the performance said afterwards. Look at the bounce back against Drogheda. Shells probably fancied a chance against UCD, although UCD are picking up a little bit.
Yeah, and I used to be picking up a little bit, although probably more so at home than away from home is the only thing. But they did frustrate Shells the last time, and Shells are really bad. But I think Shells have probably they're scoring more goals now, and I suppose it has to be a test of their evolution to go and win this. The Drogheda Derry one, yeah, that's an interesting game because like Drogheda, definitely they're another team whose results aren't necessarily matching their performances. I know XG is a dangerous thing, but they hammered Shells by that metric on Monday. But they drew 1-1.
Yeah.
And they obviously, the fear from their perspective, I think, would be that they'll invariably probably start to drop off. I mean, maybe they might lose some players in the summer. They're doing very well, and they just need to be clinical when they're actually playing well. But yeah, Derry there's a big questions from Derry now. Like this is actually, I think it's a huge momentum game for them. They can go down the road and win that. It's sort of like, okay, Monday was bad, but you have a long time until you play Rovers again, a long-ish time. And you can take care of that and then see where you are next time. But it's a tricky game for them. They've had some tough games with Drogheda in recent years already this season. They've lost to them at home. So you don't look at that on paper and say, yeah, Derry will go and win that. I think it's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, and obviously a win would obviously see them make ground on either Bows or Rovers. But briefly then into the first division, the big game, the Galway against Waterford, bizarrely both, or surprisingly, both lost last week, so they're both looking to bounce back. But seems a bigger game for Waterford and Galway, you think?
Yeah, definitely. I would have thought that the only way Waterford were going to make up points was in these games. So that's probably why the fact that then Galway actually lost points against Longford is sort of slightly surprising. So, yeah, that's a weird one actually. It sort of makes the analysis of this game a bit odd because you're trying to figure out like what happened, and who was more affected by it. Like in a weird way, or the Waterford are they galvanized by the fact that their loss didn't have fatal consequences. They got away with one. I don't know. But Galway, there's a good buzz there. I mean, there's a huge crowd at the game against Cove, massive crowd. Like now, I gather they didn't play that well, and there have been one or two times in recent years where Galway have the big crowd coming out for this big game at home, like they're going to have here against Waterford, and they haven't delivered. And that's probably the one little thing there that Galway have gone from. They're now in this place of serious expectation. So while Waterford need it more, Galway are still under a little bit of local pressure. So there's a few angles to it, but I think Waterford just putting one or two little worrying signs in recent weeks that, well, the new manager effect galvanised them, and maybe their squad needs a little bit of work. And there's only so much they can do between now and the window.
Yeah, new manager certainly the team of the week and the early part, some of the early part of the season as well. Dan, thanks very much for joining us. We'll speak to you after the games.
Cheers, Zane.